Welcome back. Welcome back. Again, shout out to my new subscribers. I really appreciate you. Now, we getting off with Monica Mciver, the Congresswoman, House of Representatives, and the New Jersey mayor who went to the ICE facility and got in an altercation. And Elena Haba, Trump's attorney general and his personal attorney, said, well, if y'all come up here and talk to me, we can work this out. She wouldn't go. He went, all charges dropped. She got charged. Now she running scared as a loon when she could face 17 years. Because she did hit ICE. She physically hit ICE. And I'm gonna show you. Oh shit. Oh, I must have did it on this phone. I'm getting my phone. Exactly. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. I thought I just had this up. Lord, how much? Oh, here we go. In a lengthy brief, DOJ tells judge to keep McIver prosecution on track. This is a day ago. DOJ filing largely collaborative Newark Congressman accounts of events at the Delaney Hall. Last month, New Jersey Representative Lamonica McIver under indictment for assault asked a federal judge to throw out the charges against her for containing a number of supposedly fatal defects. In an 80-page brief filed yesterday, the Department of Justice argues that no such dismissal is warranted. Now she wants the charges thrown out. If you would, if you would have met with the Attorney General of New Jersey, you probably wouldn't have been charged with nothing because all charges was dismissed against the Newark mayor. Dummy. The brief also largely corroborates McIver's own account of what happened on May 9th. McIver and two of her congressional colleagues were allowed into the facility for an oversight visit. New York Mayor Baraka was also let inside the facility's gates, then told to leave, which he did after a tense altercation with immigration officials who threatened to arrest him. And finally, even after exiting the gates, Baraka was arrested anyways, prompting the scuffle that forms the basis of charges against McIver. Another detail confirmed by the brief: Department of Homeland Security agents arrested Baraka after consulting with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. In their motions last month, McIver's defense attorneys put forward two key arguments for why the charges should be dismissed. The prosecution against her is vindictive and politically motivated by her criticism of President Donald Trump, and charges center around official legislative business that protected by the Constitution's speech or debate clause. Writing for the DOJ, Assistant U.S. Attorneys Mark McCarvin and Benjamin Bilberg worked to dismantle those arguments, saying that they are an attempt to obfuscate what is otherwise a straightforward case of assault. She is shown hitting the officer. A trial is scheduled for November 10th, but the decision about whether the case will continue ultimately rests with the district judge, Jamal Sumter. McIver's claim of selective prosecution, the DOJ argues, fell apart because she provides no specific evidence that she was treated any differently from another defendant in her situation, or that the prosecution led by attorney Elena Haba, whose authority as New Jersey's top prosecutor remains in limbo. They went around that. She's still attorney general. They got, she's still there. McIver's altercation allegation of discriminatory intent relies primarily upon a mistaken understanding of the DOJ policy, as well as out of context statements concerning the administrator's well publicized law enforcement policies and priorities in brief states. In the process, McIver omits mention of evidence contradicting her claims from the very sources of which she relies for her supposed evidence of discriminatory intent. They got the video. They got the video. McIver's motion also rested heavily on a comparison to writers of January 6th. I'm so sick of hearing about that bullshit. Who were subject to blanket pardons, right? Blanket and dismissals of charges when Trump took office. Okay, you can't compare the two, bitch. You cannot compare the two. The Constitution clearly states, and this is why you need to read it, that if your government becomes tyrannical, you have the right to march against it. And I'm not saying I condone what happened January 6th, YouTube. I'm saying what the Constitution says. And that's fair use and being objective and critiquing what happened. If their conduct, which McIver's attorney said was far more erroneous than anything McIver did, has been treated so gently by Trump's DOJ, then the vigorous prosecution of McIver should be seen as politically motivated. The DOJ calls comparison apples to oranges. I just said that. I just said that. I agree. Saying the treatment of one cannot be used as a defense of the other, and that's a fact. Two different scenarios. One didn't include illegal minors, these were American citizens. That's the difference. The DOJ contends that Trump's sweeping pardons covered even January 6th defendants who had not yet been prosecuted, and presidential pardon is absolute. That's a fact. And that wasn't about illegals. McIver claims faces a threshold insurmountable defect. Okay, I'm not going to read about the January 6th stuff. Another argument she put forward is that the DOJ failed to consult with its public integrity section, PIN, in similar mood. The brief states because the DOJ had already suspended its own policy requiring consultation with PIN before bringing Congress against members of Congress. The brief places suspension of policy around May 10th, right as the DHS publicly threatened action against McIver and two other Democratic members of the Congress, Representative Rob Menendez and Bonnie Watson Coleman, referred to as Betsy at one point. As for McIver's claims that her conduct is protected by speech or debate clause, no, it's not, because you hit the man. You hit him. The DOJ acknowledged that Delaney Hall oversight visit falls under the category of McIver's official actions as a congresswoman, but disputes the idea that an altercation with law enforcement officials is subject to the same prosecution. Imagine, for example, that McIver, while touring Delaney Hall, smuggled in contraband. Okay, I'm not going to read that. You know what? Listen, they still going to prosecute your black ass for doing some dumb stuff. You ain't not once went to none of where our people are in prison in deplorable conditions. All that. If y'all saw how Fulton County Jail look, it is awful. You ain't said nothing about none of them. Americans in deplorable conditions. Okay, let's get into the video. Let me see. Oh, this is for the migrants. Okay, it ain't that one. Hold on. Now, where did this stuff go? Oh, okay. Here we go. I found it. I found it. I want to get to the first one. Here we go.
And we're live.
This is Tish Regan.
Major development. Donald Trump's not having it. Alina Haba is not having it. Take a listen.
That woman was out of control. She was shoving federal agents. She was out of control. The days of that crap are over in this country. We're going to have law and order.
I'll tell you, the days of that really are over. Really and truly. And so Lamonica Mciver is not going to know what hit her. She could find herself in prison for up to 7 years. We're going to go through the penalties of what something like this actually might mean for one Monica Mciver, who, by the way, is showing absolutely no remorse. No remorse at all. I've got some clips from CNN, of course, where she went. And even the CNN anchors, come on now. Like, now that you've had time to think about it, nope, no remorse. You know, that is the most extreme version of the left. That's when you start to get into Antifa, when they somehow think that violence is justified. Unbelievable. Okay, AOC flipping out, right? Because she figures she's next. I got news for her. Unless she actually decides to trespass, she probably isn't. But, you know, it's me. She wants all the attention. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Beyonce and Oprah are in a little bit of trouble. Donald Trump's coming out and saying he wants an investigation. Charges being filed against the Democrat lawmaker, representative from New Jersey, Alina Haba, the new district attorney there, is charging her with some pretty significant things, including assault on a federal officer because of this.
Now look at this.
Did you see her? She was out of control.
Now look at her in the red. That's her.
Monica's in the red.
She in the red.
Okay, so the whole thing's pretty unbelievable. The DHS, Department of Homeland Security, says they have footage of her actually body slamming these ICE agents. I'm going to show you a little bit more footage that we've accumulated, but I want to go back to the full soundbite of Donald Trump speaking out against this kind of behavior, saying, you know what, the woke stuff is over. This crap starts now. Excuse my French. He said it. The President of the United States. Cue the tape.
That woman was out of control. She was shoving federal agents. She was out of control. The days of that crap are over in this country. We're going to have law and order.
You bet we are. We're going to have law and order, which means you can't show up at the Delancey ICE detention center unannounced and decide you're going to trespass
Right there.
onto the premises, regardless of the fact that you're a representative newly elected from New Jersey. I mean, this can't happen.
Now that's her in the red. Now you see her hitting him?
It can't. It can't. So Alina Habba coming out with an official letter. One of the points that she makes in this letter is that she gave Representative Mciver ample opportunity to express remorse, to say, maybe this wasn't appropriate. We should have had a scheduled time, etc. There's no remorse from Lamonica Mciver. She is exactly doubling down, trying to insist somehow that this is her job. It's her job to go out and promote violence. So guess what? She's facing a penalty, ladies and gentlemen, of up to 7 years in prison, along with fines anywhere between 100K and 250K. So she's violated Title 18, United States Code, Section 111A1, and she's being charged with the assault of law enforcement there, impeding law enforcement, and interfering with law enforcement. So, Lamonica, we may have to be visiting you in some kind of detention facility pretty darn soon, given the fines that this carries and the penalties it carries. I want to go back to what I was telling you earlier, which is that this woman has no remorse. She doesn't seem to understand why it is that she was wrong. I should point out that Alina actually dropped the charges against the Newark, New Jersey mayor because he expressed some remorse. He was willing to work with them. She didn't get that from Lamonica Mciver, so...
Right. This your own fault. She asked you to meet with her. You didn't go. You said no. He went, so all charges dropped. He done. He fine. But your ass is not. And you had a right opportunity to go. Why wouldn't you do that, dummy? You didn't think that this was serious of hitting a federal agent?
I guess you gotta actually make an example of the lady because, as Donald Trump said, we're not gonna put up with the crap anymore. Thank you very much. Here is Lamonica with all her crap.
I think the charges are absurd. It's ridiculous. I was there to do my job along with my other colleagues. We have done this before. This is our obligation to do. It's in our job.
No, it's not to care about some damn illegals. No, it's not.
And the entire situation was escalated by ICE. They caused the confrontation. Homeland came and caused this chaos that we see. It was a very tense situation, but it could have been easily not happened.
Right, and you could have kept your hands to yourself.
I mean, it could have easily not happened if she had not escalated things. But again, Monica Mciver feels that it is her responsibility as a lawmaker to do this kind of stuff.
So having time and space to think about what happened on that day and reflect on it, would you have done anything differently?
No, once again, we showed up there to do a job, Kate. We were there for an oversight visit. We have done this before. Me, Congresswoman Bonnie Watson-Coleman, and Congressman Bob Menendez was just at a facility just a couple of weeks ago, not too far from this.
So you wouldn't do nothing different. So you would still hit an ICE agent. Okay.
Not, confronted or was in the middle of a chaos to do so. I think, number one, we have an obligation to do so. We have to show up and do our jobs. And at the end of the day, the reason why we were there is because we wanted to make sure this facility was up to par, that it was clean, that it was safe, and that the detainees there were, given due process, that they were able to use the phone, that they were able to speak to their legal representative.
Ain't that a bitch? But you don't do that for non-American who are in deplorable prison conditions right now. And some of them are innocent that's locked up right now. Fuck them illegals.
Which we found out was not happening, but that was our reason. So despite, what Republicans are saying, about us, trying to break people out of jail, that's untrue. We were not there to do that. We were there to conduct an oversight visit, which after all of this, the chaos, Kate, they gave us a tour. We were all of this, we broke in, we assaulted people, all of these things that, Haba is saying.
You did. You hit an ICE agent.
Glad we got that one on record. And then they gave you a tour because I guess they're just nice.
And Republicans are saying, but they gave us a tour and allowed us to go in and tour the facility and speak to detainees. So, I
Therapy, what you think about this?
Once again, the people that I represent expect for me to do my job, and that is exactly
no, they don't. The American people don't expect you to go to an ICE facility. No, we don't.
They expected you to do your job.
To go to an ICE facility to check on some illegals. No, we don't.
Says they have actual footage of Lamonica body slamming an ICE agent. I mean, again,
she a big woman and she got ICE. Well, she big anyway, but
again, going back to violating the code. Lamonica.
I'm live. Call Danye. I'm not coming. Oh, well, call. What? You know I'm live.
I just like saying that. They expected you to do your job by going and starting a fight. Again, I want to point.
Now she know I was just live. Why would you? I don't understand. You know I'm live.
Now the DHS says they have actual footage of Lamonica body slamming an ICE agent. I mean, again, how is this okay? It's not okay, as Alina Habba outlines. And again, going back to violating the code. Title 18, U.S. Code Section 111A1. You can't do that. You know what? It doesn't matter if you're a U.S. representative from Congress. Really, Lamonica. Or whether you're just a regular old American. You can't do it, okay? And this is why, ladies and gentlemen, she is being charged.
Exactly. And that's why you being charged. Now here go the New York mayor. I mean the New Jersey mayor from Newark.
But we begin tonight with breaking news.
Remember that melee involving Newark Mayor Ras Baraka and several other politicians? He was arrested and then charged with trespassing.
Tonight, those charges against the mayor have been dropped, but new charges have been filed against a U.S. Congresswoman.
Eyewitness News reporter Lucy Yang in the newsroom with the breaking details. Lucy.
Here we go. Another plot twist in New Jersey tonight. Charges have now been dropped against a Democratic mayor. But at the same time, new charges have been filed against a Democratic Congresswoman. Let's outline the details. Back on May 9th, there was a loud and public confrontation outside Delaney Hall, a 1,000-bed facility in Newark, New Jersey for housing migrant detainees. During that scuffle, the mayor of Newark, Ras Baraka, was arrested and charged with trespassing. Tonight, the U.S. Attorney for the District of New Jersey announced that she is dropping the misdemeanor charge against Mayor Baraka, quote, for the sake of moving forward. And to extend an olive branch, the U.S. Attorney is inviting Baraka to tour the migrant center where all of this began. Baraka, just a short time ago, reacting to the news during a live interview on CNN.
I think that was the right thing to do for them to drop the charges. Obviously, we agreed to move forward, but ultimately I didn't do anything wrong. There was no charges that should be brought against me in the first place.
But no such peace offering is being extended to the Democratic Congresswoman Lamonica Mciver. In fact, she's now being charged with assault. She was not arrested on the day of the incident, but officials say she assaulted, impeded, and interfered with law enforcement. According to the U.S. Attorney Alina Habba, quote, no one is above the law, politicians or otherwise. As you can imagine, there is a storm of outrage from Democrats all over the new charges. To recap, Mayor Baraka is now off the hook, while Congresswoman Mciver is now facing criminal charges. We will continue to track the high drama as it continues.
As she should. This is so much better now that I got all my videos in order, huh? Okay, here she go. Now she officially charged. has been federally charged with alleged misconduct towards law enforcement. McIver's charges follow her with immigration and customs enforcement. Yeah, well, we can let that one go. It sure make a difference. I ain't got to say I'm scrolling. Hold up, let me find the video.
All right, so you remember that scene in front of a New Jersey ICE detention center ended up
This
with
is
the
Larry
arrest
with
of
Larry
Mayor
O'Connor.
Newark,
I
who
like
had
him.
absolutely no business being there. A whole melee started, and there were a couple of Congress people who were right in the middle of it. They were trying to like sneak into an opening of a gate as a bus with detainees was coming through. Law enforcement, of course, trying to protect the facility. These Congress people, by the way, brought a
She looked
screaming
ignorant.
horde of protesters as well. Let those criminal MS-13 gang member New Jersey men out.
Right.
And well, one thing led to another, and this woman, Congresswoman Mciver,
Hey,
she was
cuz.
caught on video manhandling a couple of these officers. There's been a thorough investigation.
Let me get
Got the
back.
body cam video, and at one critical juncture, he slowed it down.
You ain't lying, therapy. We done seen that enough, so shoot.
With the fullest extent of the law, that sends a message to these criminals that they can do whatever the hell they want. That's why justice is blind. That's why she carries the scales. That's why no one is above the law. I want you to remember what the Congresswoman looked like here in this video, right? What she looked like, how she behaved, what she sounded like. Remember her screaming? You don't talk to a Congresswoman like that. Let's listen again. You can't talk to a Congresswoman like that. You gotta put your hands on me. You will pay. Hey, you will pay, she said. Well, she's very different now that she's defending herself on cable news.
Right.
Here she
Right.
was this morning.
Would you have done anything differently?
No, I would not have. Once again, we showed up there to do a job, Kate. We were there for an oversight visit. We have done this before. You know, me, Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman, and Congressman Bob Menendez was just at a facility just a couple of weeks ago, not too far from this location, where we had an oversight visit, and we were a little bit delayed, but not, confronted or was in the middle of the chaos to do so.
And you wouldn't do nothing different. You would still assault an ICE
Very
agent.
choreographed media hit this morning.
You are now facing a federal charge, though. Are you afraid of what's going to transpire now?
I mean, it's super unfortunate, Kate, that we have come to this point, in America, that this is what we see happening to leaders who are trying to do their job.
You came to the point. You came to the point. All you had to meet was with the attorney general. It wouldn't have been no charges. You see, she let the mayor walk. You said no, dummy.
Whether it's the mayor of the largest city, whether it's a judge, we've seen this administration come after and attack, leaders for doing their jobs. It's political intimidation, and I will not be intimidated. I expect to continue to do my job.
Right. She was just doing her job. That's her job, what you saw there. By the way, hey, I'm going to be on your show tomorrow morning. What color are you wearing? Taupe? Oh, cool. I'll wear taupe, too. We'll be twinsies on camera. What are the odds? What are the odds? Donald Trump this morning on his way to Capitol Hill to rally support for his big, beautiful bill was asked about the pending arrest of this Congresswoman.
We've seen that 1,000 times. I'm not going to keep taking y'all through that, because I think this is going to be the last video. I had 3 planned, but I got to go to bed, so. But I'm going to finish this on out. We're going to show her being arraigned and everything. Let me see what this. I think I'm going to delete this one. I'm not going to show that one. Okay, so that's one left. This is her arraignment.
Yesterday, on June 25th, Congresswoman Lamonica Mciver walked into federal court in Newark, New Jersey.
This is Nellie Miranda.
All of this stems from an incident back on May 9th outside the Delaney Hall Immigration Detention Center. Now, officially, it was called a congressional oversight visit. Unofficially, it was nothing more than a staged political protest to interfere with immigration enforcement during the Trump administration's crackdown. When federal officers showed up to arrest Newark Mayor Ras Baraka for trespassing on federal grounds, that's when all hell broke loose. According to the indictment, Mciver didn't just protest, she got physical. She allegedly slammed her forearm into one federal officer, grabbed another, and then wrapped her arms around Ras Baraka to physically block his arrest. Let me say that again. A sitting member of Congress physically assaulted federal officers while interfering in an active arrest.
All charges!
Drop all charges!
Drop all charges! Free Rep McIver!
Free Rep McIver!
It doesn't even rhyme. I don't know.
How many people out there? 3?
Congresswoman
How many
Lamonica
people
McIver
out there?
rallying outside federal court in New Jersey this morning. Good luck with that. Look at this video again. There she is, roughing it up. Right now, McIver's arraignment is underway on federal charges over her actions with Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement agents last month outside an ICE detention center. This is in Newark. At one point, she puts her elbow up by a guy's neck. That guy's in a uniform. Prosecutors accuse her of assaulting at least 2 of those agents. Alexis McAdams is outside the courthouse in Newark. Alexis.
Hi, Harris. Well, it didn't rhyme, but they are still chanting here in Newark, New Jersey. You can see them there on the steps of the courthouse. They're not just calling for her to be, out of this courtroom, but they say they want no charges against her. They want the charges dropped against McIver. This comes, though, after she was caught on camera with what it looks like elbowing a federal agent. Watch.
We done seen that video 1,000 times.
She says she's going back to Washington, D.C. to get some work done, but these are serious charges, Harris. She's looking at nearly a decade behind bars if she's convicted. Back to you.
Well, if that video is any indication, they've got something to work with.
Right, that part.
Let's be clear about what McIver is facing. She's facing 2 felony counts of assaulting federal officers. Each one carries up to 8 years in prison, and then 1 misdemeanor count of obstructing law enforcement. And that charge carries up to 1 year in prison. That's a potential of 17 years behind bars.
Yep.
McIver has pled not guilty, of
I'll be
course.
back and get the cigarette.
And her lawyer, former U.S. Attorney Paul Fishman, is claiming that this is nothing but political retaliation. Yeah, we've heard that one before.
Right.
It's political retaliation. It's political retribution. Now, the Democrat machine is going into overdrive, screaming that this is all about political intimidation. They're claiming that these charges are an attack on democracy, an abuse of power, yada, yada, so on and so forth. But the real question that we should all be asking is, since when is physically assaulting law enforcement part of a congresswoman's job? Imagine for just 1 second if this were a Republican, if a Republican congressman shoved federal officers around, wrapped his arms around someone being arrested, interfered in an ICE operation. CNN would be running Insurrection 2.0 headlines all day long. The media is calling McIver's stunt civil disobedience. Folks, this is not civil disobedience.
That's not civil disobedience, Show
at federal agents.
The charge is specifically for assaulting, impeding, or interfering with law enforcement. What is your reaction to this charge?
First of all, thank you so much, Kate, for having me or allowing me to come on for a few seconds today. I think the charges are absurd. It's ridiculous.
How is it absurd and you hit them? You hit a government official.
I've done this before. for. This is our obligation to do. It's in our job description.
It is not your obligation to check on facilities for illegals when you don't check on prison systems. American prisoners sit in deplorable conditions. You ain't going around checking on them in the federal penitentiary. No, you're not. That's not your obligation.
To have oversight over a facility, and the entire situation was escalated by ICE. They caused the confrontation. Homeland came and caused this chaos that we see. It was a very tense situation, but it could have been.
But you didn't know how to control yourself. You didn't know how to. You did not know how to control yourself. What?
What you do with the rest of them now, lady?
Oh, I put them on my bed. They right there in the front. Okay, let's look at this one. We got three more. Then it's gonna be it. This is Tish.
Guilty.
She pleading guilty.
Forgive me. Freudian slip. Not guilty.
Oh, she pleading not guilty.
Guilty, but hey, not guilty.
Right there,
not guilty to endangering law enforcement or impeding law enforcement or assaulting law enforcement. Don't forget, Alina came after her with this, violating Title 18 United States Code, Section 111A1 for assaulting, impeding, and interfering with law enforcement. So she's like, no, I'm not guilty. No, you didn't see anything. Was that me in red? Watch.
I'm tired of seeing that. Let me go past it.
I'm a U.S. representative. They can't come after me like this. What is Alina Habba doing? Yeah, this is what she said, guys. Here she is talking about how they can't come after her because she's, Lamonica. I love the name. Lamonica. Like not Monica. Lamonica. Just saying.
Yes.
What was it like to be in the courtroom?
I mean, there was a mix of emotions to be there. I mean, obviously, this is a crazy situation. I never thought I would be facing charges as a sitting congresswoman. It's a scary situation too, because I'm thinking of my mom. I'm thinking of my mom who was there with me, who's like stressed out about this, right?
Stressed out.
Correct. When they're saying that you're going to face 17 years in prison, I'm thinking about my daughter who's 9 years old. I'm thinking about my husband, my family, and it's like, oh my God, this is awful. But at the same time, it's like, I'm not going to stop doing my job because I know why I was there and I know why I'm being attacked. And so definitely just a mix of emotions during that period of time. And at the same time, I was happy to see it moving, going through the process that it's going through today. Obviously, I pleaded not guilty because I'm not guilty, and I'm looking forward to
You are guilty.
Having the facts all laid out and really getting through this process, because it's also stressful, right? I mean, at the same time, I'm doing the work of the people that have elected me from the 10th Congressional District.
They didn't elect you to go to an ICE facility and worry about illegals. No, they didn't.
And it's a legal case where you have to have a lawyer, an entire legal team to defend you. And so it's a lot, and it's unfortunate and it's unnecessary. But at the same time, we cannot allow this administration to stop us as, elected leaders, Democrats especially, from doing their jobs.
I mean, the expenses is something I think people aren't really aware of. Are there
expense? Here we go. Expense. Like she's out there fundraising off of this, you guys. My gosh. Contribute to my legal fund. I'm Lamonica Mciver. I need your money. Okay, here she is. Again, I would just say, you know what? If you didn't want this to happen, why were you out there pushing your weight around? I mean, everybody saw it.
Right.
Everybody saw this. Okay, and apparently DHS has even better videotape. And according to DHS, she did actually assault. Now, you could look at that and, maybe you say, oh, well, she's just caught up and she's not really pushing them. And
she's just being pushed by others. And so she looks, although there's her hands like slapping down on someone. I don't know. Apparently DHS, as I said, has even better angles of this videotape. And so it'll ultimately get decided by the court. And so if she didn't want to find herself in this situation, like, why was she doing this? By the way, the Newark mayor, he actually went in and sat down with Alina Haba, and they actually came to some kind of resolution.
Right.
Yeah, that's why Alina didn't bother charging him with violating Title 18 U.S. Code Section 111A1. He didn't get charged because Alina said, well, he was actually pretty cooperative. But this one, she was livid. You know, she thinks she's out there doing her job. And, well, I'm sorry, that's not your job.
Facts.
Pushing your weight around with ICE agents. The president even said it.
That woman was out of control. She was shoving federal agents. She was out of control. The days of that crap are over in this country. We're going to have law and order.
And that's what this is about. So that's what this is about. She's all worried. She's like, oh my gosh, I might be going to jail for this. She keeps hitting on the expense. You saw it with Jen Psaki. And not only did Lamonica go on about how expensive it was going to be, but actually Jen Psaki then drilled into that again. It's like, oh, you guys getting a cut of her charity fund? Here's Lamonica Mciver again on MSNBC, you know, network of choice, talking about how draining and awful and expensive this is. So come on, cough it up. She needs money.
The practical reality of what this means for you. How much time and how much money is this costing you? Well, first of all, it's taken up a lot of my time, but I am still 150% dedicated to the people that I represent in a 10th congressional.
They didn't ask you to go to no ICE facility.
So that is why yesterday when I had to run back to New Jersey, go to court, plead not guilty, I literally ran out of the courtroom, said a couple of words, and had to hop on a flight back to D.C. to vote because, once again, my job comes first, and I don't want this to, in any way possible, to get in the way of that.
Really?
Of the work that I need to do for the people of the 10. So that's one thing, but it is time consuming. And then it's also very expensive, right? No one's, taking up this case for free. I have to pay for attorneys. And so you have to, raise funding.
As everybody else who got a court case, they have to pay for an attorney or one will be appointed for you. You could have got a court-appointed one.
At the same time, right? I'm very courageous and I'm very, not going to back down, and I'm going to continue to do my job and hold this administration accountable. But at the same time, I'm thinking about my 9-year-old. I'm thinking about my husband. I'm thinking about my mom who's worried to death about what is happening and what this administration is doing to me. This is my first time in a situation like this. And so we're taking it really serious. And so we want to make sure we have,
as you should, take it serious,
the resources and tools that we need to fight this. Because at the end of the day, these are real charges. This is a real situation.
No shit.
Okay.
There are a lot of people out there, myself included, that
wow. Piece of my mind making the point. Lamonica, would you do anything different if you could? And she's already answered that question, actually, on, it was either CNN or Jen Psaki's show, where she
said no.
Different. And this is exactly the kind of lack of remorse that.
Sean, listen. Oh, I got 2 more, and that's it. And then I'll be back tomorrow. I guess I'll do 21 Savage and Whack. Yeah, we got 2 more videos.
Lamonica, she's out there trying to push her weight around in New Jersey. And you saw what happened as a result of this.
Oh, we're not watching that part again.
Well, this is what's happening. In other words, you can't have a lawlessness kind of environment where you have the Lamonicas of the world or the Zohans of the world or anyone that's just deliberately violating federal law like she was. And it's one thing.
That's her in the red.
Make an appointment and go in and see things and make sure you're doing your job and making sure that the inmates are getting 3 squares a day and plenty of water and all that. That's fine. And no one's saying you shouldn't do that. But what we are saying is this is not acceptable. What we're seeing on camera is absolutely not acceptable. And it would not be acceptable
if the possible communist mayor of New York City decided, Candy, thank you so much. Appreciate the generosity. We are fully independent here on the Trish Regan Show, so we love when you guys pitch in. Happy 4th to you as well. Anyway, when you've got somebody like this commie that's trying to get elected in New York saying, I'm going to stand in the way of Donald Trump, well, that's just not going to work. I mean, he made it clear, right? When he saw Lamonica out and about, that stuff, well, he said something else, has to end.
We're not going to watch that again.
If only it were that.
Where they would drop the whole thing?
Yes. Yeah. That is exactly what.
So that's a lot. I mean, again, that's a lot of pressure because some people would say, gosh, let somebody else fight this out. You're saying the whole thing could go away if you just said something.
Correct. And I was not doing that. I was not going to waver on that. Like I said, I went to Delaney Hall with my colleagues. We went there for an oversight visit, and we didn't do anything wrong. The whole tent situation.
You did a lot wrong, bitch. You did a lot wrong.
Homeland Security and ICE, they created that, not us. And so, absolutely, I was not going to do that.
So they're holding her up now as like somebody who's standing up to Trump, that they're going to stand with her, that she's like the be all end all. Hakeem Jeffries coming to her defense, saying this is the woman that, you know, we're so proud of, etc. It's like, guys, really, is this what you want to actually put your weight behind? No pun intended. I mean, really? Because she's just sitting there violating the law, and it seems that she's more concerned about protecting the illegal criminals in the facility there in Delancey, New Jersey, than she is about actually protecting the people that are out there in New Jersey working hard for a living. And I think this is where they're going to start to have some real breakdown and some real problems within the Democrat Party. And the more you see these kinds of people being elected or having prominent positions within the Democrat Party, the more the Democrat Party is going to start to get nervous and worry that, you know what, we're in kind of a bad spiral downward. So if you're a Democrat right now, you're looking at your party saying, what the heck has happened? Because this is no longer the party of sanity. This is no longer the party that actually worked to get illegals out of the country because they knew that we couldn't afford them. Think about Barack Obama. I mean, Barack Obama was out there doing exactly what, by the way, Kristi Noem is doing now, right, at DHS, and Tom Homan is doing now, and President Trump is doing now.
Right. Obama was known as the deporter-in-chief. He deported more than anybody.
He ushered 20 million people in, and then they're trying to, you know, send them to certain districts so that they can get more congressional representation. I mean, this is like gerrymandering on steroids. We know what was going on. We do know what was going on. And you have only to look at the 800,000 non-citizens that they wanted to vote in the state of New York that got shot down in December by the appellate court, but that tells you exactly what's going on. And so, again, I think that this administration is being very clear. They're not going to put up with it. So as he threatens to arrest this guy, Mondani, oh gosh,
we're gonna leave that.
You know, I'm gonna have to get.
Yeah, I get back on his behind. Okay, this is the last one. This is the last one, and yep.
America, thanks to some very
again,
smart
this
people. Many
I love Trish Regan. I really like her show.
We'll begin today with some of the, if you would, threats to the Constitution that we all hold dear. And by threats, I mean some of the people on the very far left, including one Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who prides herself on being a socialist who wants to redistribute wealth while, of course, running around in a private jet. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is now officially under investigation, and that's a good thing.
Yes.
On 4th of July, the other big news is that Mendahi is also possibly, should he decide to disobey the law, facing arrest. Yeah. And then the other biggie is Letitia James, who actually is finding herself in some trouble of her own doing, right? As she parades around in New York City with the guy who wants to tax
the rich and tax the white. His words, not mine. He's made that very, very clear. As she parades around with him, her stock's falling really, really fast, not just because of her political alliances, but because of some alleged problems that she may have along the way. We're going to get into all of that today. But first, again, if you haven't heard, AOC is under investigation. Sandy Cortez, and it's not because of where she came from, which is a whole other thing up for debate, right? You say from the Bronx, but it turns out you're actually from Tony Westchester. Kind of a difference, just a little teeny smidge of a difference. But AOC is under investigation because of a staffer that she had working for her that is believed to have been here illegally or extended the visa or something, but whatever it was not okay. That combined with, telling everybody, here's how you do it. Right? Here's how you avoid ICE. Here's what happens if ICE shows up. The fact that she did these things are now causing her to be under investigation, while simultaneously Donald Trump is saying, you know what, this Mamdani, should he become mayor of New York and actually try to stand in the way of ICE, he too will be under investigation. It's important to think about, right? Again, because there are constitutional rules protecting the federal government, which enables them to protect.
Let me get to Lamonica, because I ain't know this is going to be let me get to Lamonica.
On the House, and people are really speaking up on a variety of things. One was immigration. So that's all coming to a fruition right now. And then the other was the economy. And guess what? We're
talking about GOP, who strongly approved 5 months in. Look at this. George H.W. Bush, Bush 41.
Mayor of Los Angeles is doing the same kind of junk that they were doing.
You lay a finger on them, we are going to have a problem.
Yeah, Tom didn't really go for that. We have played this for you before, but I'll just summarize. He's basically like, you were in diapers when I was doing this, okay? You don't intimidate me. That's not going to fly. Which kind of brings me to something rather important. The Constitution. Here we are celebrating the 249th win and year for America, right? We've got a lot of, because back in the European noble lands, before people.
Okay, I thought that she talking about everybody else but Lamonica. They all sound stupid. Arrest them too. You right there. I agree with y'all. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Please hit that like button. Good night.